I was waiting a little bit to see if anyone else is coming in, but I think it's 3:06, so we can go ahead and start.
Yes, I don't know if you saw, but we are recording.
Okay, thanks, Anne.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think I can go ahead and do. Uh, all right, so for today, we are just looking at one objective. That's to familiarize ourselves with the rubric tool within the CougarVIEW. And then after the presentation, probably we'll stop the recording and do a Q&A session. All right, so what's a rubric? A rubric is a predefined set of criteria for evaluation. This is you use rubric in order to achieve fairness as well as consistency when you are evaluating your uh, assessment of your activities. All right, so within CougarVIEW, there are two types of rubric. One is called analytic rubric, the one you see on the left here. As well as the one you see on the right is called holistic rubric, or a single point kind of grading rubric. So we will take a look at the two of them when we go to CougarVIEW. The next, where can you use a rubric within CougarVIEW? Most of the time we use rubric to assess discussions, assignment. But you can also add a rubric for the surveys, as well as you can add rubric within gradebook, as well as ePortfolio. ePortfolio is a tool that is not enabled yet within, we are testing it right now, but probably in the future that tool will be available and you can add, you can assess ePortfolio using a rubric. All right, so recommended best practices. This is after what we call it a daylight update. After the daylight update or 10.8.2, the recommended item are the following. One is to associate rubric with course activities, but not grade items. I will demo that later. Second item is you can now use rubric within discussions. Before that, I think you used to attach a rubric within the gradebook when you're doing a discussion, as well as attaching it to a discussion item, which kind of create a complication. But now you can attach rubric directly to the discussions and not worry about the grade item or gradebook. That item is to only associate rubric with activity being assessed. And the final item is you can use rubric for independent offline activities for grading, but of course you will not be able to, when you're offline, you will not be able to see the what they call the rubric. All right. And finally, I had a resource here for you. One of the resources was from T12 Brightspace regarding the rubric. I included our link to our instructor guides, as well as the rubric that you saw earlier was from the University of Central Florida Teaching and Learning website for discussion rubric. All right, let me go to demo how you can use rubric within CougarVIEW. Just give me a moment while I share my screen. So I'm going to share my screen here. To Rubrics training sandbox. All right, so the first thing that you need to do actually is to go to assessment and rubric and create a rubric. Let me see if I can increase the font here. Okay, so right now we are within a rubric tool, and you can click on new rubric. And the first item that it shows up is actually what we call the analytic rubrics. Here you have your criterias here, as well as you have your level of performance all the way at the top level. And then on this is where you actually type your criteria. So we are seeing we're looking at the analytic rubric. This is the first item. But if you need to change it, what you can do is just select holistic rubric from the same place, and you can see this one only has the level of performance for the holistic rubric. And then what you do is just type your information here on these items here. All right, so we are not going to save this one. Let me show you what I've done. So the first one I wanted to show you is analytic rubric here. It's the exact copy of what was in a PowerPoint. After you type everything, that's how it will look like. I see some typos on the rubric. All right. So other things that you can do from creating a new rubric, you can also copy an existing rubric by just clicking on drop-down menu and select copy. You can also import a rubric from any other course that you may have access to. And finally, I'm just mentioning this, but we are not going to take a look at it. A rubric can be created at department level, or program level, or college level, or the entire OC unit level. For example, maybe there might be a rubric for the entire CSU university. So once those ones are created, it's going to be available within your course so that you can attach to any activities that need to be assessed using a rubric. But we are not going to look at that. So you can create a new rubric, copy existing rubric, import rubric from another course, as well as use a rubric from higher level, from another, from the department level, program level, as well as campus-wide level. Any questions with after this point?
I'm rather familiar with using analytic rubrics, but I've always just had a template on a piece of paper. as I was mentioning before you got started, though, I'm not used to just there being a 10 points, 7 points, 4 points. I'm used to there being a range of points in each of those levels that can be assigned. Is there flexibility to be able to do something like that? Or is it simply a integer that's assigned for each of those levels?
There's a flexibility actually, and it may be something we may have to discuss after we completed the recording.
That would be
But
fine.
yes, what I wanted to show you quickly here is you can actually create up to a not only without no score points as well as custom points. So you can actually go deep and create your own point. As well
Okay.
as later probably I don't know if we have time, I can show you how it will look like when you are assessing using custom points. But
Okay.
we'll discuss after.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can wait.
Okay. All right. So now let's say you are done with your rubric. The second step is to create an activity. So in this instance, let's say an assignment. Okay, so you can do your new assignment. Give it a name. Associate or give it a grade item.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, we are going to call it one. And then out of score, let's just call it 10. And then finally add the rubric. So when you click add rubric, it will give you what's available. Oops, I'm clicking a wrong screen. All right, so any rubric that's published will be available. And then let's select analytic rubric here that's available. Add. And then click save and close. So that rubric now has been associated with an assignment. Same thing with discussions. You'll create a discussion activity. I've already created one here. Let's edit the topic. And then under the assessment, we will add a rubric. So this one is going to be discussion 2 holistic. Yeah, holistic rubric. Save and close. Okay, all right. So now once you have associated that rubric with an activity, now the student should be able to do something. So let me impersonate a student. This is a quicker way for me to show you that. All right, so we are looking right now as a student. And I had already created these activities within the content area. well, connect that activity within the content area. So right now they are available. So for student, let's do a discussion. I think I had already done this, but we can do it again. So let's, as a student, you can just upload whatever you have. Let's go to desktop, assignment 2, publish, submit. And then let me change back to instructor view so that you can assess these activities. So as an instructor, going to view submissions, and you can see what the students has submitted. So you can click on evaluate link, and within what did I do? Oh, okay. I created an assessment called test 1, not this one. Okay, all right. So we are in the wrong assessment, but nevertheless, here we have an opportunity to also attach a rubric. Let's use what's available here, analytic rubric, and we can see our rubric here. All right, so now we can assess the student. It's on the second window. I hope you can see me. Okay, so you can read what student has submitted. As once you are happy, you can navigate to your rubric, and now you can do some assessment. Let's see. Since we have already done this, let's just override it and click save and close. And then we can do publish. All right, so let me switch back to a student view so that you can see how a student actually see this. So let me go back to class list, impersonate a student. And as a student now, you need to go to gradebook or grades to be able to see your score as well as the rubric feedback. And we can see our feedback here. So that's how it look like on the student side, or that's what the student sees. All right, any question? So you'll do the same thing with discussion or any other assess activity that you'll attach a rubric. But I'm not going to demo that for now. All right. Okay, here's a question. Can a student see the rubric before assignment? Before assignment are created? I According to T12, yes, they should be able to see it, but I run into a technical difficulty and I don't know why. But students should be able to. And I'm going, so when I was doing this rubric sandbox, when I was working with rubrics sandbox today, I ran into two difficulties. And also one of them, one issue also was mentioned by Anne Yulan yesterday. She ran into an issue yesterday. But I'm going to look into those as to why right now rubric is not feasible before it's graded. According to T12, it's supposed to be, students should be able to see. Actually, they say students should be able to see rubric within the assessment, within the content area. And it was working before. I don't know why that's not issue. There used to be you could actually, as a student, you could actually see it before it's graded, but this one was already being graded, so you can seems like after it's graded it shows up, but according to T12 it's supposed to be available before it's graded. So that's one other first issue difficulty that I. All right, so let's do a quick recap and then we can stop the recording and then we can do a quick Q&A and do more kind of a discussion. All right, let's do. I don't know if you guys are you able to download the PowerPoint on your site?
I hadn't really tried yet.
Okay.
I'm not able to click on the link for it, or it's not recognized as a link, I think.
Let me share the link. On the chat. Let me know if you can see the links.
It looks like Kim was able to see the one there from UCF, and I think we can click on those ones there for the other ones in the chat. Thank you, Jaffa.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Randy, I guess you can stop the recording now, and then we can go to